All right, so this week, Derek Chauvin, George Floyd's killer, got his sentence of 22 and a half years in prison. And conspiracy theorists of QAnon theorized that it was not Derek Chauvin in court, asking, who the fuck is that? And it's not the same guy from the trial, and this Chauvin looks nothing like the original. And how many Chauvins are there? So what do you say to these quacky QAnons out there? Start with Gianni Storm.
They'll say anything to keep the conspiracy going.
Robbie Rock.
Stress and incarceration changes a man. He looks worn and haggard, as he should.
It's true.
That's true. That's true. Jose.
Never underestimate the power of stupid people in large groups. Okay? So QAnon to sand.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know. I think they might have got this one right because the dude looks completely different every time we see him. But there's one thing that never changes: those beady little evil eyes of his. So it's definitely him. It's definitely him. All right. So
I heard prison changes people.
in many ways.
Like Robbie Rock says, he's looking, more and more haggard every time we see him. So yeah, no, the guy's not looking like $1 million.
No, not even close. Might not even be worth like $2 at this point. Jacqueline Robinson's online. She said, "I've had my fill of the Q-tips."
All
right,
face palm from Moose. Yeah.
All right. So, and for those that don't know who QAnon is, it's a conspiracy theorist group that thinks Trump is the second coming, and that Democrats like Hillary Clinton are the cabal of Satanists doing child sacrifices in pizza stores. So. All right. So real quick, let me play this first TikTok of George of the Floyd sentence when Chauvin was actually sentenced. So
now look at this.
Mr. Chauvin, as to count one, based on the verdict of the jury, finding you guilty of unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony, it is the judgment of the court that you now stand convicted of that offense. Counts 2 and 3 will remain unadjudicated as they are lesser offenses. As sentence for count 1, the court commits you to the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections for a period of 270 months. That is a 10-year addition to the presumptive sentence of 150 months. This is based on your abuse of a position of trust and authority, and also the particular cruelty shown to George Floyd. Pay the mandatory surcharge of $78 to be paid from prison wages. You're prohibited from possessing firearms, ammunition, or explosives for the remainder of your life. Provide a DNA sample as required by law. Register as a predatory offender. Defendant is remanded to the custody of the sheriff to be transported back to the DOC. We are adjourned.
We are adjourned. Wow.
So let me ask you guys and our audience about the 22 and a half years for Chauvin. So is this justice, considering it is one of the longest sentences for a police-involved death? I'm going to start with, let's start with Robbie Rock on this one.
Okay. From what I read, he got the maximum sentence possible in the state of Wisconsin for the charges that were levied against him. So legally, they got that right.
So Minnesota. Minnesota.
Or sorry, Minnesota. Yeah.
Yep.
But
I don't think it was the maximum though. Is that correct? Because I thought it was. I thought the maximum he could get was like 40 years or something. And
yeah, it was a snippet that I'd read just for the charges that were against him.
Okay.
But whether or not this is justice is for George Floyd's family to determine, because they are the true victims of this crime. We're all invested in it because this has created a ripple effect across our collective psyche, as it should have, and hopefully will be a precursor for a lot of change. But yeah, I really feel that this is more a personal thing for his friends, family, and loved ones.
What do you think, Jose? Johnny?
I agree with what Robbie Rock is saying. If that's the maximum sentence that he could get, great. But my reaction is it ever enough? Right? It won't bring him back. Is it justice? Well, it's a step in the right direction. There's been a conviction and it wasn't thrown out of court. So I'm very happy to see that justice has been served in that sense. And hopefully it'll make other cops think twice of ever, following those footsteps. But I don't think it's not enough. money, time, it's not enough. It'll never bring him back, and it was a senseless death.
So what do you think he should have gotten?
Honestly, to me, a life for a life.
Hmm.
A life for a life.
Oh, so we're talking death penalty here.
Death penalty, let him rot in jail, just in a corner, let him do his time. We've seen just in the past few months how he's changed. I mean, apparently that's not him, that received the
According to QAnon.
sentence, but you can tell, yes, there is a change in the man. Every prison will do that, right? He looks dejected. Well, you know what? There's no end in sight. Leave him to rot.
Okay, Gianni?
I believe he got what he deserved, but I feel like if the judge had sentenced him longer, I wouldn't be upset with that. I don't think anybody, well, some people would be, but I feel like Jose, a life for a life. I agree with that.
Oh, so
And
you think a life
and
sentence?
yeah, but I do still feel like he got what he deserved. Like, I'm not mad with the 22 and a half years, because if we think about that, when he gets out, his life is ruined anyway, for the most part. He's not gonna
He's going to
be a
be
guest
probably in his
show.
60s, I believe.
Yeah, nobody's gonna be wanting to interview him and give him opportunities and all of these things. So
But there is word that, they're saying that with good behavior, he'd be out in 15. So it's quite possible he could be out sooner than that. So he'll be in his 50s when he gets out, if he gets out. And then you got appeals going on. But there are federal charges still pending against him as well.
But let's be honest. I mean, he's not
Like-
going to have an easy time of it in prison.
Oh, no. As a police
So-
officer in prison, that's one of the, he's not going to have it easy at all. You're
But what
absolutely
if they
No.
put him in, like, what if they safe haven him, or what is it called, like infirmaries, or
Oh, when they
like
put him
Solitary
in
confinement, Yeah.
yeah.
Then that's its own cruel and unusual
That is
punishment.
kinda cruel, too.
because you want to talk
That's
about
true,
psychological deterioration? Put somebody in solitary. That's how they
Yeah.
break people.
Yeah, solitary is tough, but I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't have been mad at more. I mean, if let's say it had been turned the other way and it was George Floyd who had killed the cop, there would be a different sentence.
Yeah.
So and it would be beyond life. It'd probably be, we're talking death penalty and things like that. So and then you have to add on the fact that it was a position of trust, where someone was placed in this position. It makes it even worse. I don't think it makes it better that he was, we should have a lesser thing because he was a police officer. It should be worse because you're a police
Yeah.
officer.
Yes, absolutely. You are there to protect. We're supposed to trust you, and our lives are in your hands to make sure that everything is law and order. Well, look at law and order, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't feel he should deserve pity. I don't feel like people should pity him.
I totally agree. According to Jacqueline Robinson, according to them, Biden had a face transplant and it's really IQ 45 in the White House right now.
Well, he's
talking about QAnon.
And he's having a wicked second term. Like, he's really turned it around.
He's actually doing good things. Olivia says the cruelty is serious. I thought it was like 50 years. The judges, this is Jacqueline Robinson again, the judges plus page opinion was well written. I'm suspect that he wants to ensure it is appeal proof. So he's trying to make sure it's appeal proof. Yeah, that totally makes sense. That's why he wanted to make sure it was a reasonable sentence, and that totally makes sense. Yeah. But yeah, there was one thing at the end of when Chauvin decided to speak. It was the first time we'd heard him speak. But let me play that real quick. I have a question for you guys on this.
Now look at this.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, due to some additional legal matters at hand, I'm not able to give a full formal statement at this time. But very briefly, though, I do want to give my condolences to the Floyd family. There's going to be some other information in the future that would be of interest, and I hope things will give you some peace of mind. Thank you.
And I'll note that I did read your comments in the pre-sentence investigation as well.
Thanks, Your Honor.
So does anybody have any sense of what he's talking about?
I think he
No
might
idea what.
say. I think he's gonna come out and say that one, he might have been set up and somebody was telling him to do that, or I think he might say that him and George Floyd had some type of relationship or something. Like, why would the family be of interest? That's like I mean, they would be of interest of what he has to say, so it has to do with maybe a
But
relationship with Floyd. I don't know.
I
I
was
don't know.
thinking
He's
that.
saying
I was
new
thinking relationship with
information that's
Floyd.
going to bring them some peace of mind.
Right. That
I,
was
I,
confusing me.
to me, that's very confusing because what could possibly bring you any peace of mind after
Unless it wasn't
watching
him.
the video, after the deliberations in court? I'm very, very curious what he's hinting to
Yeah.
because I have no idea.
Yeah. I was confused. I mean, if I'm being honest.
Is it because, I mean, what happens to those other cops, right? Are they being charged? Is there new evidence pending that we just don't know about that is buried in whatever? And no one can, talk about it essentially because there's still charges pending. So it'll be interesting what comes out. I mean, what else can be said at this time?
That's
Who
such a
knows?
weird.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
this
That is a
weird.
very bizarre comment to make.
a lot of
Yeah.
people. Okay, so this was a TikTok that we had up, and so a lot of people in the TikTok were saying things like he's saying that he's going to off himself. That's what he was trying to allude at. Taking himself out as
TikTok.
um, somebody said very cryptic, possibly. Yeah, he said somebody said what could possibly give him closure. Um, and he said somebody named Dennis Land says I believe the information he has will cause a mistrial and get a new trial that may take 3 to 5 years, but there's something he's holding on to. Some people saying they think it was a setup. Maybe it was a setup.
I think that. I think that's
Maybe somehow there was some setup for Floyd, and I don't know how that brings you peace though. Uh,
I guess as we're talking, the only thing that I can think of, if he was exposing some systemic racism at a higher level in the chain of command with the police services,
Yes.
that dismantling something
That
like
does kind
that
of
might
make
bring
sense.
some peace of mind. But
Yeah.
as we're talking, that's the only thing that's kind of jumped into my mind that would make
Yes.
any sense.
Yes, Cindy
Yeah.
says my prediction: the information is going to come out that he's got is going to come out and blame the police force for somehow.
Going to be more people involved.
Yeah.
Go ahead and blame whoever you want. At the end of the day, those were
You did it.
his
His
actions.
actions.
He made that choice to follow, to do those actions, to act upon what he did. He's the one that killed. He's the one that has the blood on his hands. So it doesn't matter who way up high, is telling him, is coaching him, is challenging him. At the end of the day, we all have choices to make. I choose on a daily basis not to be an asshole.
Yeah. Exactly. So
You know what I mean? I choose to be a kind person.
Yep.
So, I mean, you're telling me that you can bring this up higher and higher and higher so that you can expose this? You had to kill someone for it?
A day on Facebook says the only true peace of mind that can be had is bringing George Floyd back. Other than that, what kind of peace of mind or info can he possibly give? Shaking my head.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on from this. Let's get into our full show and our hot topics.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.